smaller and smaller, and then the guy gets you, and oh, he's already delivering force to me. How do I stay small and deal with delivery of energy when it's already happening? It's already happening. Force is acting upon you, and it's forcing you into movement that you might not be able to afford. It's not that we'd like to be mobile. We'd like to always be cool where we can react in the right time frame and get our feet moving and dance around and get out of the way. These are more specialized conditions where the offensive side is coming up, or where the rondori side is coming up, or where you're actually getting caught later and you're having to react to all the forces acting on you. So you're kind of having to be uke a little bit, right? But you're being a specialized uke. You're taking an uke that's very resilient and able to take force acting on it. And rather than do default settings before, so if he's pushed on this, boom, delivering energy into it. My default setting as a human being on planet Earth is to accept that into this leg. We call it a very standard natural thing to do. It's all very cool as long as I'm the bigger guy on the bridge. And I'm lucky to have that advantage. It's not so cool if I'm a smaller person. He's going to tend to run right over, blam, or if it's a lot of pressure force that not. What happens though when I refuse to accept it here and I actually accept it in the back of this leg? Go ahead. You change the structure inside your body. Again, the walking pattern that we did yesterday, where it got really, really, really small, and we said, hey, I can sort of move around inside my own framework. I can change where I'm delivering energy from. You also get to change where you receive energy. All right? And your default settings, which sometimes will let you just pushing and just overwhelming, yeah, put you back into this state, become really different when it pulls from over here, from this leg. It's pulling from this leg, not bridging from that leg. And it looks strange as hell. And you can get away with very, very odd effects. He can be pushing laterally to me, for instance, right here. And if I'm pushing back with this leg, it's pretty easy to overwhelm. If I'm sinking into the inside of this leg and down into the floor, like it's trying to pull under me, it's very hard for him to do much. And it's like it sucks his force and sticks it into a vector that he has a hard time doing anything about. And these are kind of parlor tricks of the martial arts for a long time. But they can find themselves applied in useful contexts, because you can wind up being really screwed. Here, right? Spine lock, right? And if my weight is doing its standard job, it's actually preparing to go into the ground. I'm rolled to my heel, and everything's like, ah, I'm about to fall. And I'm pretty vulnerable. But if you can get under this, good, go ahead. I can walk around. Shut it off. By reorganizing what's going on inside of you, uke can become crazy reactive from extreme conditions. Force acting upon you and being responded to with the skill sets you learn in the walk when you do it really tiny. Cool? Cool. So that's sort of what happens in that moment of contact. If he's overwhelming you, you have to shunt that down into a body drop. Everything's got to sink under and pull in. It's like your feet are trying to pull under, like you're trying to claw your way with this foot, claw your way with this foot, not drop on it like a post out there. And it's a different feeling in the legs. It's a different feeling in the ankles. It's a different feeling in the hips as well. And you have to sort of experiment a little bit. I'd start with this, just the standard bridge, and then see if you can apply it sideways. See what that feels like. First, it's got to go down, then it's got to pull in. And the test is if he suddenly lets go, suddenly let go, you don't suddenly jerk back. If I'm bridging and he suddenly lets go, you see that little tick-tock. Cool? So you're looking to test yourself and see, hey, when he suddenly releases the condition, does it go away or do you have a little bobble? If no little bobble's happening, you're effectively taking that force, redirecting it down to your feet, and killing his energy for the moment that you need it to kill, so that you have breathing room to go somewhere and do something. But it even includes being on one foot. Standing on one foot is still recovering from this, but extra credit for later. Cool? Cool. So try those conditions, forward, sideways at least, and see what it feels like. Test yourself. See if you're getting the bobble or not. Okay? Cool? Cool. Thank you. Just ways to sensitize to controlling our own center. Like a judo guy. Put your hands on it. Say, wow, that's easy. I didn't even have to get my center going. He started to deliver energy. I made a vector that went this way, up through his elbows, and it shunts. Now, we'll do static. Oh, he's got me. I put my hands here under his elbows. He has this propping function. My center, I want to say, roll under, roll under. Over time, as my center is rolling under, I can lighten the pressure on my hands. So there's almost no pressure on my hands. When there's no pressure on my hands, I can start sliding those hands toward my center line until they're gone. And basically, as he exerts force, learn to do it right from the point of contact. So start where it's easy. Start where it's easy. Put your hands up there, brace them. Bang! Shouldn't have done that to me. And then, over time, work them backwards so they don't exist. And see if you can still manifest the same effect right here. Cool? It's like magic, but it's not. It's effective. You're still doing this job. This is obvious. He touches elbows from underneath as he tries to vault at you. As he tries to force into you, that creates a vaulting function. His whole frame goes, woo! Doing the same job. We're just making the arms invisible. Like space ghosts. That's my generation. I don't know if you guys know space ghosts. Space ghosts, coast. So he touches you, and you do space ghost to him. And he's like, what the hell was that? Then, Jiku. He finds himself in a state where he's hung on a foot, for instance. And the same thing we were talking about, that pressure relationship, 0 and equal sign, trying to maintain that pressure. That point of contact becomes that pressure point then. Equal sign, equal sign. And if I can keep it equal as I move around, or he moves around, he has a hard time not living in this weird dance that occurs. Yeah, go ahead, grab it. Equal sign. He's trying to bear down on this. I'm trying to keep it equal to the pressure that was here on this new point. I never tried to throw him. There was no intentionality of, oh, I throw him down. I was just trying to do my job of equal, depriving him of signal, thereby creating Aikido, right? Eventually, their nervous system freaks out. Gets to the place where it no longer can coherently operate in a relationship to gravity, and they wind up on the ground some way, shape, or form. But it's not a possibility of, I think I'll just throw the guy. Just throwing the guy is an option only if you have all the luck and all the superior goodies and whatever. We're actually not interested in throwing the guy. We're interested in making him dependent on this relationship for as long as possible until he naturally disintegrates. His damn problem. He'll disintegrate when he's got to. And I can talk to you guys. And this is what makes it surreal and weird. And it should be that if I can keep this pressure correct, then I can probably walk around here, and walk around here, and I can change it, and I'll step on his foot, and I'll reach over here, and the pressure didn't change. So he has a hard time reading it, doing anything about it. He winds up in and actually taking it away becomes cool. When you actually are provoking them into failure by removing stuff rather than adding stuff to it, that's a neat state. Because again, it's hard to notice the absence. It's easy to notice if he's pushing on me and he changes and he gets heavier pressure. Easier to notice that. It's harder to notice that he's pressing on me and he suddenly stops and then it goes light and there's that slap. That can trick your nervous system. Oh, I'm out here in space. Gets a lot of pressure on it. I get a lot of reaction. Oh, cool. I feel that really easy. You don't feel what disappears as much, or what wasn't even there to begin with. Cool? So when absence is hitting them, or a void is hitting them, it becomes crazy overwhelming sometimes. So you do kind of violate that dial it down thing sometimes. But you should hold that for special occasions too. First, just get good at keeping it equal. Equal. Cool? Cool? Right. Give me a little feedback, y'all. Stuff that's working for you, stuff that ain't working for you, stuff you want to see again, stuff you never want to see again. Anything you like, hated, want more of, less of, anything like that. Questions, comments, anything. I thrive on feedback.
How long does it take to get to where you can do it
Oh,
someone
years.
comes up to you,
Years.
years.
You're looking, well, typically years. It typically takes around 100,000 reps. And most people in their training regime, that means years. Mr. Dan Martin over here got told, hey, how do you learn to do a Sotogari? And he said to you, do 100,000 of them. And you did it in, how long?
Year.
1 year. How many did you have to do a day?
I can't do the math.
A lot. He did a damn lot of a Sotogari to squish 100,000 of them into 1 year. And you're the only guy I know. I mean, there's probably other guys I know that have done it. I've never heard about it, but damn, that's impressive. Any skill set you want to make completely internalized and automatic and be like, have that spoofy quality, you're probably looking at about 100,000. I would say. There's an ancient quip where they say, oh, to know something you got to do it 10,000 times.
That's Malcolm Gladwell.
And then to do it really, when you really know something, you really know it, you're doing it 100,000. That's the Japanese. 10,000 is your first goal, 100,000 is your next goal. Carl's teachers, he said in Japan, they would give him an exercise and he had to go do that damn thing 1,000 times before he could ask a question. And if he tried to ask questions and stuff before then, they didn't want to see it. And then he'd finally get to about 1,000 and they'd look at him and they'd say, okay, maybe move your foot more like that. And now he has to go do another 1,000, right? But basically the burden is on the student in that course. And we're not used to that in this culture. We're not used to training in that way, but that is the traditional model and it does reinforce high repetition and imbuing it in your bones in an internalized way. So doing it in real time, real life, about 100,000. That's what you're at. Will you be able to pull stuff off before that? Sure. But it won't be completely woo-woo. I don't know how to say that. It gets woo-woo after a while. And there's no substitute for it. It does help to have goals to shoot at. It does help to have a training environment where you have a stable set of people that are giving you consistent feedback. If you're having to train in an environment where you're getting chaos all the time from all the different people you're working with, that's not as helpful as if you have a platform you can build your machine around that gets stable at the start and goes towards more and more and more chaos toward the end. By the time you're doing 100,000 of them, you can handle all kinds of chaos. But when you start, if you're handling all kinds of chaos, it's hard to ever get a coherent. It's like you go to the gym and you pick up the heaviest weight right off the bat. And you say, I go in the gym, I picked up the 400-pound thing and try to do a deadlift. Well, if I go in the gym and try to do that 400-pound deadlift every day, 100,000 times, it's probably still never coming off the deck. I have to go a lighter weight that's doable and incrementally add and add and add and add and add a little bit at a time and be sensitive to what I'm feeling in my back and my legs and my frame. And eventually one day I can walk in and just pick it up, put it down, make a big thing. So you have to start from a stable and doable place and then work towards the difficulty. Don't work from difficulty day one. Don't make it difficult on your partners. Work from success. Make it easy on each other, and then dial it up incrementally for one another. Otherwise, it's hard to ever get there at all. 100,000 a lot. So assuming you have a rational training paradigm with each other, then 100,000 is doable. And you wind up with crazy stuff. Anything else? Good question? Nada? Okay. One of the cool things, I'm going to sit down too, about doing these things is that you can do them sitting on your ass. Yay. You get a little tired in the legs, get a little tired in the back. Or maybe, God forbid, you wind up with no legs, you know? You wind up with a broken back. You wind up in the wheelchair. You wind up, and you don't have the facility to dance around no more. And most normal humans, they find themselves cut in half for all intents and purposes, and they don't have their normal mobility, and their skill set's all built on that mobility, then become, you know, oops, where'd that go? It's all gone. It's betrayed you. When you start taking these actions and shrinking them down, like the walk yesterday, big normal walk, smaller, 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 till you feel the frame of the walking happening inside your own frame of your body where you're standing still, you can apply that sitting, standing, lying down, wherever you like. And so these same activities, like Joe go, just for Joe the other day. Yeah. He starts coming to be boss somehow. I think I'll vault up. It's the same. So how do you get on top of that guy? Well, that's really weird, isn't it? How can I be under here and wind up getting on top of it? That shouldn't happen. There's no way of bridging activity for you. But what can do that is a nervous system activity. So when he makes contact and we vault up, easy to see what that is. Comes up underneath him. Harder to see what this one is. Yeah. And what that is that same activity of getting over the top. I got to go into him, up, and then down. Let's do real slow. I'm going in, I'm raising up, and I'm coming down over the top. It's not a mechanical force that can do that to him. What it is a signal confusion. I'm talking to his nervous system, we're hacking his nervous system, and we're sending a signal to him that says, something's going into you, going up over the top and landing on top of you and squishing you down. It's wrong. It's not doing that to him. But his nervous system thinks it is. And so, I don't know what else to call that, but like a magic trick. You know? It's a hack. We're hacking his nervous system. And when it's like that, it's not only you reaching out to do it with your hands, but after a while, the same little dumb stuff we were doing, where they touch you on different parts of your body, you can do it on your head, on your shoulder, on your arm, but you do kind of have to condition to it. Start with the hands because the hands are relatively easy. We're used to using our hands, right? Used to this. Make sure you're still tied to what's going on in your center, so it's not your hand waving around. And he wants to be a cool cat, so if I just wave my hand around, yeah, he gives me feedback, throws me on my hand. Yeah, dumb idea. Oh, different. Right. Happened here. Happened here. Cool. So try that a little. Get your partner and one person at a time. And start with the easy thing. I'm going to vault up under. And do several vaulting things and see if you can take the hands out after a while. There are very little of them. Just barely touching them. Yeah, there's a fake wall. I shouldn't tell you that one, should I? And over time, the hands become less of the issue. It can be other points of contact. And once the vaulting thing's easy, and you can toss him over at will. Then, in, up, down. And damn near any place on the butt. Step over here, Jim. Don't even deliver force. Just stand there, be stable, do. In, up, down. If you're touching his nervous system, it doesn't care too much. Where? Cool. In, up. That's the signal you're sending. And his reflex activity, if he's built like a normal human with normal neurons in his body, goes, what the hell is this? It's a very strange phenomenon. It's a signal confusion error that you find. And this goes to types of kazushin. Fairly easy, obvious kazushin that we understand because of the weaknesses in the body. When his foot is forward, we have this line condition that goes this way. And we have the stuff that's square to him that goes this way, right? Fore and aft. Understanding that's a big chore for a while. But then it's not always mechanical stuff. It's not always, yeah, good luck. I'll try not to throw you that way. But I am actually not throwing him. I'm trying to keep him from going that way. All over it. But your job is not to throw them. Your job is to confuse their nervous system. and to confuse it at key points of vulnerability. So as he tries to deliver energy, there's a key point of vulnerability. Just as he's going from he's his own guy, and now he's a connected thing, there's a big point of vulnerability. As he tries to take a recovery step and get cool again, big point of vulnerability. In between those two, equal sign, equal sign, equal sign, equal sign. Try to keep it equal as much as possible. Cool? And when the change happens, so he goes from a structure that's standing on one foot like this to a structure that's, over here, and that foot hits the ground. As that foot hits the ground and the structure changes, vulnerability again. The foot hits the ground again, vulnerability again. Vulnerability again. Yeah. That's a timing function. So you could just think about it in that term for a good long while. You can think about it from a static thing, then for a good long while. You can think about it just, I think I'll just work on the easy Vulcan thing for a good long while. And then work your way up to the getting over the top. Okay? Questions? Is it too weird? I hope you never need it. I hope you're never sitting there having coffee in the morning and somebody reaches up and just, gets on your face and you go, whoa, and you're throwing through the window. I hope you never have to. Or that you're stuck in the chair, There's a fella in the Dojo world, a guy named Oli, who buddies with Howard and those guys. And he got a motorcycle accident when he was a young man. He's been studying this stuff and is paralyzed from here down. And he's still teaching. He's still going to the dojo all the time. He's still doing all these things. And he's still replicating a vast chunk of that curriculum, of the Aikido curriculum, from a wheelchair. And it's functionally not much different. I'm sure there's a lot of difference in his life, being paralyzed from there down. A lot of things got different. But the feeling of self-confidence that comes from, if they put their hand on me, I get to own them, that didn't change. And that's a big self-confidence thing. So that you just know, by God, if you're actually dealing with another human being on planet Earth and they've laid a hand on you, huzzah. Let alone you put a hand on them. We're not even get to the proactive, I think I'll see if I have an opinion about putting a hand on them. We're just dealing with the reactive, he's put a hand on them, let's see what happens. Cool? So confuse their nervous system. Do it where it's easy and work to the more difficult conditions. Be an active partner for yourself to make it easy and then gradually crank it up to tougher states. Okay? And that way you do 100,000 of them and you'll be doing magic stuff pretty quick. Questions? Try it. When are we breaking for lunch?
Probably at 3:45.
Doing an interesting activity that doesn't make any damn sense at all. It comes from, again, my Dojo friends. There's a thing where we get these vaulting activities. Sit on down here. And he's down here. And he's on top of me. And he's mildly dickish. He's got his pressure down, his pressure in. He's not letting this go up at all. Oh man, this is terrible. But if you can learn to bring this weight on you and vector it into your back, try it from your knees first, and think about, And the real utility of this is from these limited conditions. We're saying, often we have a great facility. He's out there and he's just about to make contact and bang, and you kill him on contact. Preferable. Infinitely preferable. Actually, infinitely preferable. He's over there a little ways, and as he starts to come, go bang! And that's infinitely preferable. It's very efficient. He's already no problem, right? You put a hole through him, and he's, say, that scary person. He shouldn't have jumped in. If you catch him just at the moment of contact, bang, that's very preferable too, because it's very efficient. You've caught him right at the right moment. He's made contact, you've made contact. It's all cool. A little late, more of a pain in the ass. And now we've got to do those weird jobs. If I do this job badly, it's going to knock me over. Or I'll be impotent. I won't be able to lift it at all. So I got to do the internal job with changing my internal structure. Changing my internal structure to be able to do this little job right here. Okie doke. So it's like working at that far end of the duress scale where they're ridiculously on top of you and it's too late and you got caught flat-footed. and they're already barreling down on top of you, and now you gotta live from there. It's going into a gutter, and working from a gutter, and coming back out from that place. Cool? And once this is cool, you say, hey, I can bring them in my shoulders, and I can vault up, and then I can turn. And it's not any big deal. Then lay down flat. Put your hands out. Let them do a push-up on, or maybe start with them with the knees push-up, a lesser push-up, and work up to heavy pressure. Cool? So you don't have to take them back into your back very far. Just enough to change the vector. Because the force that's powerful here, get on my shoulder for a second. The force that's pushing me over here, just push me over. Boom, good. Has a hard time with this vector, right? As he pushes me, he's actually pushing me down now. He's going into my hand. He's not going through me anymore. Same thing's happening. He's on my wrist. He thinks he's pushing me down and in, but he's actually going up into my shoulders now. And now I get a free ride. Change of vector. Change of vector. So you're manipulating the internal vectors with what's going on in your physiology, largely in the core of your body, to free yourself up, give yourself breathing room when you're under duress. Okay? Try it a little bit. Then we'll go off and have barbecue. Oh, is there a picture first, too?
Picture first.
Picture first. Picture then barbecue. Are we doing the stupid hats?
Eventually.
We're
Probably
doing-
afterwards. We'll do that when we come back.